Good day, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We have a very special webinar about networking skills for BPW leaders. Our main speaker, Francesca Burak, is the president of BPW New York City Club, and she is a long-time BPW member and UN representative in New York for BPW. She is the CEO and president of Fearless Talent Development, Inc., a human resource consultancy that supports the development of courage, especially women. She is recognized international speaker, author, trusted advisor, coach, and global leader. Thank you. Thank you to all of you, and thank you, Francesca. The floor is yours.
Hello, my BPW sisters. I am so happy to be here today to share this information on networking skills and networking with other organizations, a really, really important set of skills that we all need to be successful in our lives and in the BPW organization. This is how we'll be spending our time together. We're going to look at networking, the concept of networking, how the mind affects where we are, what we do, and how well we're going to network. We'll be looking at networking action plans and strategy, and the live events, because one day, hopefully, we will see each other at a live event. And in order to do that, in order to be as successful as possible, we need to look at 3 aspects of live events or any event. So what do we do before we go? How do we prepare? How do we engage people in conversations while we're there? And then once it's over and we're home, we should be reflecting on what's happened and set up our follow-up system, and we're going to show you some options there. Then we're going to look at digital events. We're spending a lot of time there right now, how to network with organizations, and how to complete your action plan. Mindset. It's really important to go to networking events with the proper mindset. Sometimes we may not like the idea of networking. I did not like the idea of networking at all when I started out in my career. And so I wasn't always successful. And sometimes I just went because I thought I had to go. And then I'd go in, I'd look around, go to the ladies' room and go home. And I'd say, well, at least I got there. And that was the first step to going to networking events. So it's important to have the proper mindset to look at networking as something really great to go to and not have these negative feelings and thoughts about networking. Oh, sometimes we feel people are promoting themselves. Maybe I feel I'm trying to promote myself. People don't seem so authentic. They want to sell me something. Maybe they think that's why I'm there. What if I'm an introvert and I'm shy, and who wants to go into a room full of strangers and start talking to people? And so I feel insecure. And quite frankly, I don't even know how to start a conversation. So how am I going to talk to people? So let's look at how we look at networking. So if we look at networking as a process or an action where we are interacting with others to share information and to exchange information and to develop a personal or a professional contact. So contact. I like to look at networking in a broader sense. I like to look at networking as the development of mutually beneficial relationships. So when you look at relationships, there's a bigger impression, a bigger imagination of what a relationship is. And a networking event is the beginning of a networking relationship. So things don't happen overnight at a networking event, but it is the beginning, and it can be spectacular because through networking, we find out that people need our services and for us to share our talents. So it's really important to serve others first. And just think of how good you feel when you're helping others, don't you? And guess what? Other people feel the same way. So it's a mutual kind of situation. It leads to more opportunities, not just for you, but for the other person that you're networking with. You acquire skills, knowledge, You can mentor people, they'll mentor you. You can obtain resources, find collaborators, partners, and they can too. You can share your knowledge and gifts and talents, and you can also have them share theirs with you. And you can be a connector, connecting people together that need each other, and they can do that for you. So remember, networking and a networking event, which we're going to explore right now, is really the beginning of the development of a mutual beneficial relationship. So let's look at networking action plans, and then we're going to go to an event together. So, and now, every year we develop goals, we develop strategies for our goals, but do we develop a networking plan and networking goals? And we should. What do we want to accomplish this year? What's our goal? What are our available resources? The resources are people that are in your network. Those are your resources. And so that's very important. Then you want to create a list of people you want to meet in order to accomplish your goal. And I'm going to take you through a few steps of this on the next slide. And then you already have people in your network that you have relationships with. Some are deeper and some have been neglected that maybe you need to start looking at. And then you want to join organizations because you want to be able to network with people that can help meet your needs and people that whose needs you can meet. You want to attend conferences and other events so that you're always meeting new people. It's a big adventure meeting new people. You want to attend conferences and other events, as I just said. You want to identify, acknowledge, and understand your own development, where you are now, what kind of gifts and talents you have to share, and where you might need some development, especially communication skills. The ability to communicate effectively is so important, not just in networking, but in every conversation you're having in life. The ability to concentrate, to listen, to really focus in, to question appropriately. And you might want to develop some techniques like I'm developing right now in tech, like for Zoom, presenting here. This is a new experience for me, and I'm so happy that I'm doing it. And then you also want to have an action plan where you're taking actions and you're doing follow-up. And we're going to be looking at a variety of these things as we're moving forward through this presentation. So let's look at a strategy for an event that you're going to. Let's say you want to look for a sponsor for a project, or maybe right now you're more interested in your career, or you want to change industries. So the first thing you want to do is, what do you want to accomplish going to this networking event? Well, one, you want to serve others, and we're going to get more into that. But right now, you're looking to meet at least 3 to 5 people. In other words, you're not running around the room collecting business cards, trying to meet 20 people at a particular event. Then who's there? How do you determine who's there? So there are a variety of ways. You've already created a wish list of people that you possibly can meet. So one way to find out if people attend these things is to call someone in your networking relationship and ask them if they know anyone that might be going to this event, and can they make an introduction for you? So that's one way of doing it, and a really important. But what happens if you've looked through your network and you don't have anyone that can help meet this need? Well, LinkedIn. You can look through LinkedIn, see if you can find people that are in the industry that you might be able to meet up with at this event. You don't know if they're going, but there's the potential. So you have to do some pre-work before you're going to this event. And then once you get there, of course, you can check out the name badges on the table to determine who's there that you might be interested in meeting, or who's there that you already know that you maybe can hook up with and talk to them about it. Okay, there's an additional preparation that you need to do. You're already going with your intention. You know what you want. Now, you have to prepare for the openings. How will you open? What kind of questions are you going to ask people? And then what are some of the things that you can talk about, that you can initiate a conversation about? And you need an exit strategy. What do you say to someone when you want to move on? So that can be something like, oh, in about 2 minutes, I'm going to have to move on. There's something that I have to take care of. Or in 2 minutes, I have to move on because I'm going to connect with someone. Whatever you want to say is a 2-minute warning. So you don't just, oh, excuse me, there's an addition to that. So in about 2 minutes, I'm going to have to move over. There's somebody across the room that I would really like to hook up with. But I found this conversation so interesting, and I'm wondering if we can exchange business cards. We're going to go into this in detail a little bit down the road. So I just want you to realize that you don't leave somebody without telling them how interesting it was to be with them. And if it's somebody that you don't want to continue on with, either they're, not paying any attention to you or whatever, you can still say, in about 2 minutes, I'm going to be moving on because there's somebody over there I want to meet with. So I'd like to, do a closing here and tell you that I enjoyed the conversation and I'm happy we met, and then move on. Okay, dress the part. This is really important. If you're going someplace and people dress in business suits, then you need to dress in a business suit. If you're going someplace where they're a little bit more casual, business casual, that's fine. Know what this industry is looking for and how people look in the industry. And if you're carrying business cards, it's important that you don't fumble when you want to get a business card out. So you can do one of two things. I carry my business card holder with me right out in the open. And this, by the way, is really a conversation starter, because people look at it and they say, excuse me, what is that? And I say, oh, this is my business card holder. And I open it up and I show it to them. It is a 1920 cigarette holder that I found on the street in New York at a flea market, and it wasn't very expensive. So know where your cards are going to be. Do you have a pocket? Do you have a business card holder? Do you put your hand in your pocket to take out business cards, and you put the other business cards in your left-hand side? Whichever way you want to work it, make sure you know where your cards are and where you're putting other people's cards. And remember, you're here at this event because it's an adventure. There's going to be excitement. There's going to be all kinds of curious things. You may wind up meeting a best friend here, not just business contacts. And think about, when I walk through the door, I want to be thought of as, how do you want people to think of you when you step into that room? Is it confident? Is it fearless? Is it a woman who looks like she knows where she's going and what she's doing? Think about that one. Openings. So after, hello, my name is, what do you say? What do you do? Here's the one that I found a few years back that I just love. I'm curious about your name. I'm curious about people's names. What's the history behind your name? It's a fascinating question. And then listen. So I found out a variety of things about people. The first person I spoke to, and I said, what's your name? What's the history of your name? It looks so interesting. And she told me the history. And then she looked me in the eye and she said, I've been working in my company 8 years and no one has ever asked me about the history of my name. Do you think she's going to remember me? I think so. So that's really one way you can start. Another way is, that's a beautiful scarf you're wearing. Pay someone a sincere compliment. People love to talk about themselves. They love to think that they look good and that they're coming across really well. In New York City, I always ask, where are you originally from? Because a lot of people here are from everywhere else. Or how did you hear about this event? Are you a member of the organization? Doing anything interesting for, if it's the summer, if it's the July or June, do you have summer plans? Whatever. So those are some of the openings that you can use. And remember, after you ask the question, listen very carefully. And when you listen carefully, you'll come up with other questions that you'll want to ask them. And of course, it becomes a back and forth. To continue the conversation, can you tell me more about that? How did you do X, Y, and Z? What strategies were used? That's a great idea. How did you come up with that idea? But the $1 million question is this: what are you doing that I might be able to help you with? Or what are you excited about these days that I might be able to help you with? Or what are you thinking about doing that I might be able to help you with? And then listen and see if you can. Maybe you can't right now, but you can always say, you know, that's really so interesting, and I'm going to keep my ears open. So you're looking for X, Y, and Z. I'm going to look to see in my connections if there's somebody that can do that. And if there is, I'm going to connect you. If you're going to one of BPW's events, like the Leadership Summit, the Congress, that's coming up, maybe face to face, you can always start with the same 2 questions that we've discussed already. And then, how long have you been a BPW sister? What kind of initiatives or projects is your club engaged in? That sounds so interesting. Can you please tell me more? Or that sounds great. You know, we're thinking about doing that. You know, I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with you. If we can't do it now, here, you know, let's exchange cards. If it's that sounds so interesting, please tell me more. How can I help you? Listen, and you'll develop more questions. And as you network more, you're going to develop more. And remember, if you're nervous and you feel butterflies or you just feel anxious inside your stomach, you think it's anxiety. But guess what? It's not. You have to reframe and refocus, because butterflies, aren't they beautiful creatures? And they're so brilliant. And they could go anywhere and do anything just by flapping their wings. And the reason why they're visiting you is to remind you how brilliant you are and all the gifts and talents that you have to share. And they flap their wings to remind you that you're ready to take this next step. So go out there and network. And here's what happens during networking. Always smile. It's really important, and it brightens up the room, and people will recognize you immediately when you have a smile on your face. And consider eating before an event. Why do I say that? You know, if you have a drink in one hand and food in the other and you're standing up, how do you manipulate that? So have at least a snack or something so you're not walking in and focusing on food. Arrive at least 10 to 15 minutes before the event. You want to get organized. You want to feel like you're there. You want to stop in the ladies' room, make sure that your mascara's not running or something didn't happen with your hair. And all of that, you also want to be able to look at the names on the table and see who might be there that you can engage in. You also want to see if whether or not they are doing something like asking you to put one of your superpowers on your name badge. I like to do that during our meetings in New York City, so that when people come in, they pick up their name badge and they write a superpower on it. And sometimes we say in the invitation, bring one of your superpowers with you. And that helps people network. Position, if you're in a situation where they're serving food and there's a lot of people, stand in the area where they're going to be serving the drinks, whether that's the bar area or whatever, they have it out in the main area. You want to stand at the exit because you want to see who's around, and you want to be able to see who you might want to speak to. And everyone goes to have a drink. Everyone usually arrives thirsty. So whether it's water, punch, some sort of alcoholic beverage, you're going to see everyone walking through. And if you want to get online and get a beverage, don't forget to talk to the person behind you, to the right of you, to the left. Hello, my name is, and that too, you can start a conversation right away, and you can walk with that person and decide later who else you want to speak to. And read the crowd. You know, if you're there and people are engaged in, are they having a good time? You probably don't want to join that group because they're already too involved with each other. But if you see 2 people, you know, on their phones, not really facing each other, sort of having shoulders to shoulder, that's approachable. Those are people that are approachable. People that are standing alone, speak to that person, and if they're looking really shy and after you make a connection, take that person with you to another person. And you say, come on, would you like to go with me? I'm going to go across the room and meet that woman over there. She looks really interesting. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Remember, smile, stand tall, make believe there's a string holding you up. Do that right now. See the difference? Face-to-face square. You want to face people squarely, and you want to make sure that you're not invading their space. Eye contact, depending on the culture. You know, in the United States, if you don't look at someone in the eye, they think that you're lying, that something's going on, that you cannot be trusted. In other cultures, people senior to you, that might be very disrespectful. So you have to know the culture and know what to do with eye contact. And remember, if you want to make a first impression, when you walk through that door, when you walk into that room, when you're standing with people, remember your response to, I want to be thought of as, is it confident, powerful, whatever. Focused communication. When you're communicating with people, I want to just quickly remind you of these things. The word focus, free your mind, no distractions, be present. Be open to exchange ideas, observe what's going on. Concentrate on what the other person is saying. Don't try to think of your responses. And let the person speak uninterruptedly. So don't interrupt people, let them finish, don't jump in. And your senses, engage all of your senses. But remember, the two senses that have a set of two are the most important. Your eyes and your ears. And your mouth has only one mouth. So listen carefully, watch, and then speak. The key to building relationships is by listening with all of your senses, asking questions, and being interested in others. So you're at the time when you want to exchange information. So if you have a business card and you're at the point where you'd like to get the other person's contact information, I would love to exchange business cards with you so we can continue this conversation. It would be great to find out more about whatever that topic is. Here's mine. So you present your business card first. Now, they may, you know, if they want to give you your card, they'll give you the card. So let's say you both have cards. So I'm looking at the card and I'm thinking, I really want this person to be involved with BPW New York City. So I say, you know, I'm president of BPW New York City. We belong to BPW International. We are in 110 countries around the world. We do such very interesting things locally, nationally, regionally, and internationally. I'd love to include you in our database. Do I have your permission to do so? I have not found anyone that has said no. And then in addition to that, I do a follow-up about me and my business. I say, you know, I do VIP dinners, I do blah, 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 blah. And I say, I would love to, and I send out very interesting, impactful information to help you with your career. May I include you in my company's database? Yes, no. If you have the capacity to find out what their preference is in terms of contact, with BPW New York City, we do not have the ability to text people or email them or WhatsApp them on a regular basis in terms of sending out information. But we do have the ability to contact people, to text them, to remind them of something, or to text them to get on a call with us. So in terms of the general database, do you want to do emailing? Do you want to do texting? Or do you prefer WhatsApp? If you can handle all of that. You know, I never want to get emails. Well, our organization functions primarily with Eventbrite and emails, whatever it is. You may be able to take a photo of that business card. I use Infusionsoft. I take a photo of the business card. If I have notes on the back, I photograph that. It goes to them and they put it into my database. So that's one way of handling. There are apps on phones that you can take a photo of. The thing is, on the back, you want to write something down, and you can say, you know, I just want to jot down a few notes so that I can remember how I can help you. And so I always put the event title, and I put something about the conversation, or, you know, look up forwarding names of people who can help with. And then I write down something that is important to that person. So maybe her sister's getting married next week, so she's not going to be available next week. You know, can you call me or text me the following week? So that's really important. Sister marrying, 1/10/20. So I write that down, and guess what? That goes into my notes on this particular person. And my first contact with this person, I'm going to say, how was the wedding? After that, you want to do LinkedIn, social media, and email. Those are all other things to consider. What if people aren't using business cards? So I would love to exchange business cards. We have the opening, and that person says, well, I don't have a business card, but I will be able to do LinkedIn with you if you'd like. So we gather the information on our LinkedIn, each of our LinkedIn databases. And what's really important is that you send some sort of a message that evening so that you don't forget about this person. The thing with business cards, writing on the back, you can really gather a lot of information that you can write before you move on to the next person. Here, the disadvantage is that you can't take notes, while you're with the person. But if you can send a contact, a request to be a friend, or if you've already done that while you're there, then you can just send a little note, a message that says, so nice meeting you tonight at such and such an event. I'm looking forward to continuing our conversation regarding XYZ. Okay, I've already talked about a database, but you really need some way that you can collect information on people and keep notes. I know on phones there are spreadsheets, on the computer there are spreadsheets. And speaking of spreadsheets and phones, let's talk about digital meetings, right? We're all doing a lot of that right now during the pandemic. And I hope you're all safe and healthy, and all of our BPW sisters are too. So a lot of us are using Zoom, but there are other meeting devices, digital meeting devices. So you want to listen to what people are saying if people have an opportunity to make comments. You want to look around at people. Be careful if you're in a gallery setup when you're on a digital meeting, because your face, if it's showing, people can see you all the time, unless it's set up so the person speaking comes up, but then it goes back and we're all being seen. So it's really important to be careful about the expressions on your face and whether or not, you're deciding to do your hair, whatever. I saw somebody doing that once. It was really interesting. And if you like what somebody said, then in the chat box, if there's one, you can pay a sincere compliment. I appreciated your comments about X, Y, and Z, or thank you for sharing that information on X, Y, and Z. So you can do that publicly, and then you can also do something privately that is a sincere compliment to this person. And when you're doing that privately, you can write in the chat box, let's say that 3 times. You can write in the chat box a request. I would love to exchange contact information so we can continue this conversation. Here's mine. Or I'd like to exchange contact information so that we might discuss additional information regarding something that I'm working on that I'd like to share with you. And then, of course, it would be great to find out more about this topic. Let's exchange information. Here's my contact information. Remember, Dale Carnegie wrote a lot of books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he said, you will win more friends and accomplish more in the next 2 months, developing a sincere interest in just 2 people than you will ever accomplish in the next 2 years, desperately trying to get 2 people to be interested in you. So we've prepared, we've gone to the events, we did certain things correct, maybe certain things that weren't as impactful. So now we want to reflect on what happened during that event. What went well? What did I learn? Did I learn to stand in a different place? Did I learn that I have to listen more? what is it that I learned? Did I learn that I really was able to communicate in a way that showed how all of my brilliance? Was I able to maintain that smile? Was I able to move away from people that it was obvious that we didn't have something working for us? What didn't go well? Well, let's say I spoke to somebody and, it didn't go well. And I felt really rejected at that event. Well, it didn't go well. I didn't accomplish anything. I wasn't able to serve her. You know, ugh, what am I doing here? No. When you're at an event and someone doesn't click with you and you don't click with someone, that's because you're not supposed to be with that person and you're not supposed to be extending energy, developing a relationship with this person that you may not have anything in common with, you don't have the same values, you're on opposite spectrums. It's okay, you're not going to click with everyone and everyone's not going to click with you. So what that is, it's not that you've been rejected, it's that you don't have some common interests. So let's go find someone with whom you do have some interests with and whom you can help. So your next steps are your promises. Who did you promise what to? And how do you make sure that you live up to these promises? So there's a variety of ways to set this up, and you have to set up a follow-up system that works for you. What are you comfortable with? How are you going to do this? But you have to have a written schedule for relationship building. So after an event, you need to look at the time for your different contacts, and what are you going to do when you're contacting that person? So you want to look at the first week out. Within 24 hours, anyone that you met at this event, 48 hours tops, you should have some sort of contact with. You should have requested a LinkedIn. And by the way, if you didn't link in together at the event, please don't just send somebody a request that says, I'd like to join your LinkedIn network. I get those all the time. I don't know who they are, but you can begin, and I recommend you begin with, we met at this event and we discussed this, and I enjoyed our conversation so much, I would like to join your LinkedIn network. And that shows that there's something going on between the two of you. So definitely within 24 hours, you need to contact them on LinkedIn, connect with them on some form of social media. You may want to just do an email, whatever it is, you should have some contact. By the way, I ride the New York City subway. If I go to an event and I have a card on my way home, I request a LinkedIn connection with them. I say, we just met, blah, blah, I would like to join your network. And they usually respond almost immediately. So you can figure out a way to handle anything. Then what are you going to do the first week, on a weekly basis, bi-monthly, monthly? So you're saying, what is all of this? This depends on your individual. So if you meet someone, you have to have groups of people. Who are the people that you can mostly impact and who are going to be impactful in terms of your relationship? Those that you really want to build a deep, lasting relationship with. Those are your A group. And then you have a B group. These people are people that I want to stay in touch with regularly, but not as regularly as the first group. And then you have your C group. That's somebody probably around a quarterly. And your D group is your semi-annual group and your annual group. So you have different groups. It may just be that you like a person and you met them and you stay in touch, you both send cards on an annual basis. So that's the difference with what are you going to do and what's the frequency. So let's take a look at the activity. Now, these are examples. You probably have your own. And there's no particular order in when you should do each one of these activities. So the activities are, you see an article, or maybe that person needs an article that you spoke to that's relevant to the conversation that you had. So you send it to them. And when I saw this article, I thought, read the article. If you don't have an article, this is one way to connect. Find an article that's meaningful to the two of you about the discussion you had. You know, I saw this article, I thought you'd be interested. I was really interested in point 3 that mentions X, Y, and Z. What do you think? What do you think? So there's an open dialogue that can occur. Okay, you can invite people for coffee, drinks, for a follow-up conversation. And let me tell you, digitally, we've been having happy hours together. I invite people to come and have a coffee with me. You know, it's really important to keep up these relationships, and there's so many ways to do it. And I'm sure that you've been experimenting with different ways also. You want to call when you have an introduction to someone, because you want to tell that person about this person that you want to introduce them to. And you want to congratulate them. If you see their name, they have an award, they received an article in BPW, they took on a leadership role somewhere. Comment on a person's LinkedIn. And by the way, you should comment on other people's LinkedIn so that you get to be known. And you can link an article that you've written to the person that you've met. And guess what? If they said, oh, I was in Italy, you know, I really enjoyed the Trevi Fountain, and you know that you have a photo of that Trevi Fountain, you can send that off and say, oh, I was just thinking of the Trevi Fountain, and here's one that I took. You know, do you have one you want to share? And you can invite someone to an event. Oh, I'm going to this event in 2 weeks. Would you like to join me? So those are all the things that you can do as possibilities. And of course, some of this is, you know, face-to-face kind of thing. Well, you can invite people to an event that you're going to on Zoom, right? Okay, so here's a way, you have to create something that works for you. I use a spreadsheet, but just some of the things that you want to caption. So I have people's name and their contact information and their phone number. I have a separate column for that. But you can do this whatever way you want. You know, the title, the company that they're with, or the organization. You know, your first meeting. Some notes about the first meeting. And if you promised something, make sure you're getting that done. So if the first thing you want to do is send the article, that should be the first thing you do, that you promise them, you send the article. What's the date and how is it done? Did it get sent by email? Did it get sent by whatever? It should say email up there. And the response is the person thanked you and said, hey, let's have a cup of coffee together. Or it may just be a thank you. So then the following week, this is a weekly person. I email them a catch up, you know, or I might want to call them for a catch up and see how they're doing. What are they working on? What kind of experiences are they having? How can I be helpful about that? Or I might want to just email, catching up, you know, how are things going? Is there any way that I could be helpful with you? No, happy you're thinking of me, whatever. You know, a call, an invitation to an event, whatever it is. No, the date's not good, but thanks for thinking of me. And the same thing, when people start doing that for you, you too have to be able to respond immediately. Within 24 hours, you need to respond to people so that they know that you appreciate what they're doing. And then you have another person and you set up something for them. So spreadsheets, phone, apps, Excel, whatever it is that you're comfortable with, you have to be comfortable with this follow-up system. And you also have to decide, you know, in your schedule, you have to schedule these things. So in your A group, you know, how many hours this week are you going to be making phone calls to your A group? And you have to schedule that in. You know, what about emails? You know, are you spending Sunday just doing emails? I personally have theme days where one day, Friday's theme is to do catch up, write and call the people. It's a behind stage. I'm not getting in front of people. Write and call people that are in your network. It's a relationship building day for me. I spend the entire day on Friday doing nothing but relationship building. Whatever works for you. Okay, networking with other organizations. So you have to have an action plan. Same as the other one. What's your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What are your available resources? So who are the people that you have in your network? But a very important resource for you is the BPW story. know our story, know our history. It is a magnificent history. You know, it's 90 years old. We are 90 years old. That's a long time. How did we get started? Well, it really started in the USA by a lawyer in the 1920s who decided women should work together. Know that history, be able to talk about it, be able to talk about the countries involved. So you want to know, who is it that you want to work with, a potential collaborator, and something that you and the organization want to move forward. Research LinkedIn, who's belonging to those organizations. Create a wish list of people you'd like to meet in those organizations. And who do you know already in those organizations whose relationship you can strengthen? Attend their conferences, other events, acknowledge, identify your own organization's strengths and areas for development, to develop and enhance the strengths and capacity of your organization. And you might be able to help them with theirs. And also, when you're looking at this and you're developing and enhancing strengths and capacity, remember the organization as a whole, and how it functions, but also your members, the individuals that are there. And remember to take action and follow up. What do you value, and what are your commonalities when you're looking at organizations? What can you find to work on together? So I'm going to give you an example of what New York City did. So we wanted to pass equal pay legislation and collaborate with others in order to do it, because alone, we're not going to get this done. And everyone is fighting for equal pay, right? So available resources, really the available resources are your key people in your network. So it could be in your network, and it could be also in your organization. Personally, I've learned how to testify at hearings. So I'm a good resource. And organizationally, we have lawyers. But in order to get to the other people and the other organizations, who is in my key database that I can use to help bridge that relationship, that introduction to the other organizations? Who do I want to meet? Well, I want to meet the councilwoman in order for her to support this legislation. And who do I know, and who's in my relationship bank that I can strengthen the relationship with and get her to work on this with us? So I know Leslie. She's the president of Zonta here in New York City. So I can call Leslie and say, Leslie, you working on, equal pay? Yes, I'm sure she's saying yes, everyone is. Let's get together. Here's my idea. I want to get together and talk to you about inviting others to join us. And we get together and we have a meeting and we decide who do we want to work with and how can we organize. Let's get together with all of them. Let's have a meeting. Let's go out to dinner and talk about this and figure out how we're going to organize and set up. And of course, I'm sorry, I keep. And of course, you want to research LinkedIn. You want to see if there are people on LinkedIn that belong to these organizations that have written articles about equal pay that might be collaborators with this group. And so there you go. There's LinkedIn again. Make LinkedIn your friend. There are buried treasures in LinkedIn. How often do you go into your LinkedIn network and see who's there that you could help, or who might be able to help you in BPW? There might be a lot of unused resources there. And again, just like anything else you're going to do, you're going to identify and acknowledge the organization's strengths and the areas for development. Like, what are our strengths in this particular situation? Can we help set up Twitter campaigns? Do we have key members that are lawyers that can help write the legislation or help write comments to the legislation once it's written? And then what do you do and how do you do this? You can pick up the phone like I did, and I called Leslie. And then we both got a call from another woman who was interested in setting up this coalition. So we worked with her, Bev Neufeld. And we have a coalition, an equal pay coalition that started out with 10 of us in New York City that is now up to 100, primarily women's organizations across New York State with a couple of the labor unions. So this is a really big deal. We have passed over the last 8 years so many pro-women and pro-family legislations that have taken effect, including a gender-neutral paid family leave. That is one of the biggest and best paid family leave laws in the United States of America. And if you have to live here, New York State is the best for women and working families, and we helped to create that. And of course, we have a fabulous Governor Cuomo who's pro-women and pro-families. That's always helpful. Okay, I guess I'm anxious about the next slide. Okay, develop and we've already talked about developing and enhancing and taking actions. All right, so again, the key in collaborations is to build relationships by listening, asking questions, and being interested in what that group is willing to do and wanting to do and how you can support them. And when you show support to them, they will most likely be showing you support. And by the way, we don't do tick for tack. We don't do I do one for you, then you must do one for me in order for me to do something else that's both personally, professionally, and organization-wide. All right, what happens when somebody says, I'd really like to work with you in your organization? So you have to look at that. What's the cause? Do we have a common cause that we want to work on? Oh, why do you want to work with us? Oh, we're flattered and we'd love to work with you. What's going to be the cause? What's going to be the goal? The who, where, what, when, and how of the situation. Who's going to do it? Where are we doing it? What are we doing? When are we doing it? And how are we going to do it? Then the actions, strategies, who's going to be sharing what tasks and responsibilities, what networks, what resources. And when we decide that this is all in writing, so there's no miscommunications. And then how are we going to communicate with each other? Do we do weekly calls? Do we do face-to-face meetings? Do we do emails? Do we do digital conferencing? With our Equal Pay Coalition, twice a year, we convene where we meet face-to-face. Other than that, we have weekly call, bi-monthly calls. We have 2 calls a month to talk about what are we doing, how are we doing it, and what do we need to follow up with. Some organizations are working on a particular aspect, like one group is working on single moms and pregnant women in the workforce, and that's their niche. And so they're developing legislation where they're running it by us, they're running it by their lawyers. They ask us for comments, and we give them suggestions and recommendations of what we think should happen. And then, you know, there's always emails back and forth, so nothing gets lost. Support, where can you find support? Locally, nationally, regionally, internationally. Oh, we've got such a network of so many women and all the clubs that are working on this issue, and what have they found that's successful, and how can we take that and use it here? So there's a lot of collaboration and back and forth that you can have with other clubs around all kinds of issues that you're working on. And women working together is always wonderful. And here we are, we're in this sisterhood, and we should be working and supporting each other. And sometimes there's bias with women working together. They say, oh, women can't work together. You know, I've heard this throughout my life, and I have always found that women can work together. Things must be spelled out. We must know who, where, when, what, how, with a lot of transparency. Transparency when you're working in collaboration with other groups is extremely, extremely important. And if you're collaborating on a project and there's something that you took on that, you know, isn't working out, you need to get back to the group immediately and say, look, you know, we've run into a snag here. So I'm wondering, what can we exchange with you so that we can, you know, pull our load, handle another situation, and who could take this on? What can we exchange together? Don't wait till the last minute when something's due and you say, oh, guess what? We couldn't handle that one. No. Okay. And it's important to have fun. Do things together. This was last year's CSW. New York City, we had a workshop. We sponsored a workshop, and there were people from BPW sisters from around the world that came. It was peace, flowers and peace. Elise Campos from Brazil and myself ran it. And as you can see, we had a lot of fun, a lot of discussion. We worked together, and then we shared things around the room. And of course, we all talked about our drawings. So it's important to have some fun. So networking, let's look at networking and summarize all that we have discussed today. I know it's been a lot and it's been very fast paced. And here's what we need to remember, some key concepts. That networking is about building mutually beneficial relationships that start at one event, one face-to-face contact, and builds from there, progresses. And you have to nurture your relationships. Serve before you ask. What can you do to help people? When you help others, they're more willing to help you. LinkedIn is your best friend. There are so many buried treasures. How often do you go to LinkedIn and look at your contacts, who you can help and who can help you when you need to ask for help? And if you don't ask, you don't get. So it's very important to ask for what you need. You know, I'm working on this project and there's something missing here, and I need to find someone who can help me figure out why this isn't working. Do you know somebody that can help me with my profile on LinkedIn? Every time I click on it, it's not working, whatever the situation is. And then you must develop strong communication skills. They are so important for every area of your life. And remember to have fun. Networking is fun. Collaborating with other people is fun. Look at it as an adventure. There's some excitement there because who knows what doors are going to open up for you and for others. Remember, you will win more friends and accomplish more in the next 2 months developing a sincere interest in 2 people than you ever accomplished in the next 2 years, desperately trying to get 2 people to be interested in you. Be more interested in them. And then the $1 million question, what are you that I might be able to help you with? And listen carefully, and you will be able to develop other questions. Remember your gifts, your talents, and you are ready for that next step. And don't forget, stand in your authentic power. Take fearless action with heart and conviction, and share all of your brilliance, your talents, your gifts, because you're ready to take that next step, regardless of what the situation is. And remember, the more you share your gifts and talents, and you have accomplishments and successes, the more powerful you feel and you become, and the more powerful people see you. Because as you're sharing your gifts and your talents, they say, wow, look at this woman. She has so much to share. And you do. Thank you for attending. And I hope to see you very soon, face to face, in a safe environment, of course. And until then.
Thanks, Francesca, for your very dynamic presentation about networking skills, and also how we as affiliates can network with other organizations, women's organizations, civic organizations, many types of organizations, for the improvement of our own affiliates' functioning, for teamwork and collaboration, and certainly, ultimately, for the benefit of all women. So thanks again to our speaker. Thanks to our viewers for coming to see this video. We hope that you're looking at other videos on this channel. We hope to see you in one of our webinars soon. Bye for now.